What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Bobby's Big Board. Today we're diving into my top 10 rookie quarterback rankings after the NFL draft. I'll be breaking down their landing spots, what I liked and what I didn't, about each prospect and how I think they'll fit in at the next level. We've got some guys who could be impact instant starters, a few hidden gems, and even some major fallers that did shock me. Stick around as we work our way up from the bottom tiers all the way up to my QB1 and find out which rookies are worth targeting for your Dynasty squads. Kicking off the F tier at number 10, we have Curtis Rourke out of Indiana, landing with the 49ers in the 7th round. Rourke was my QB9 pre-draft, mainly because of his accuracy and toughness. He famously played through an ACL tear during his final season and still managed to lead Indiana to their first ever college football playoff appearance, which speaks volume about his character. As for the landing spot, it's fine for a late-round quarterback. Brock Purdy is firmly entrenched as the starter once he gets paid, but the 49ers definitely need a true backup after rolling with Kyle Allen last season. There's a small window where Rourke could see the field if Purdy gets hurt again, but that's really the only shot he has at meaningful snaps early on in his career. When you watch Rourke play, he reminds me a lot of Alex Smith. He's a smart, conservative quarterback who isn't going to push the ball downfield often, but will take what the defense gives him and avoid major mistakes. He's a low-ceiling backup type in Dynasty. I wouldn't draft him in most formats, but if you want to take a pure upside stash at the end of the 4th round in Superflex leagues, I wouldn't blame you. Coming in at number 9 in my D tier is one of the biggest heartbreakers in this class for me, Kyle McCord, landing with the Eagles in the 6th round. This one really hurts. McCord was my QB2 pre-draft because I loved his arm talent, the velocity, the ability to drive the ball into tight windows, and the sheer distance he could throw made him one of the most exciting arms in this class. His tools pop on tape, and I was confident that if he landed in the right situation, he could develop into something special. But this landing spot with Philly just completely tanks his outlook. Jalen Hurts is obviously the franchise quarterback, and they already have a competent backup in Tanner McKee, who actually looked solid last season when given a chance. That makes McCord, at best, a long shot to even make the final 53. He's going to have to absolutely dominate in training camp and in the preseason just to earn a practice squad role or the QB2 job. I still believe in the talent though, but the situation is just brutal. Unless he ends up somewhere else down the line, there's no path to relevance here outside of injury, and if you're in a Superflex league and want to stash him for the long game, you can maybe consider him with a late 4th round pick, but it's tough to justify anything earlier than that right now. Coming in at number 8 in my C tier, we have Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, landing with the Browns in the 5th round. Man, what a fall from grace. Just a few months ago, Shedeur was a consensus top 10 pick in a lot of mock drafts, but clearly NFL GMs saw a lot of the same concerns I did, and maybe even more. Shedeur does have some positives though. He's an accurate passer at all 3 levels, shows good touch, and has a knack for anticipation when operating inside the pocket. But that's where the problems start. When the pocket breaks down, he tends to drift backwards instead of climbing up, leading to massive drive-killing sacks. It's not just a bad O-line thing either. You simply can't have an offensive line good enough to mask those habits at the NFL level. To make matters worse, the Browns already drafted a different quarterback higher in this draft class, meaning Shedeur will be fighting uphill just to stick around. Carrying 4 QBs on a roster isn't realistic, so unless there's a surprise trade or a major injury, Shedeur looks like a practice squad stash at best. Given the landing spot and draft capital, I wouldn't touch him until the late 4th round of rookie drafts, and even then, only if you want to take a flyer on the name value alone. Next up in my C tier, we have Riley Leonard out of Notre Dame, landing with the Colts in the 6th round. This is a pretty intriguing landing spot for me. The Colts quarterback room is a bit chaotic. You've got Anthony Richardson, who flashed but struggled with injuries and inconsistencies, and now Daniel Jones, who's been very up and down throughout his NFL career. Riley Leonard likely starts out as the QB3 here, but there's a realistic path to playing time if things spiral. If Richardson doesn't take the step the Colts are hoping for, or if Jones regresses further, Leonard could be slotted in as the starter by midseason. I was fairly high on Leonard compared to consensus. He was my QB7 in this class. I loved his rushing upside, toughness, and leadership, though he definitely needs refinement with his passing mechanics and overall consistency. Under Shane Steichen, I think there's a real chance he develops. That being said, this is still a bet on chaos happening in front of him. I wouldn't consider drafting Leonard until the mid to late third round in rookie drafts unless you believe the Colts QB situation is truly that shaky. Next up in my B tier is Dillon Gabriel out of Oregon, landing with the Browns in the third round, taken ahead of Shedeur Sanders. I thought this was a pretty solid landing spot for any QB the Browns took. They've built a strong supporting cast on offense with Quinshon Judkins in the backfield and the wide receiver room featuring Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson, and Cedric Tillman. The QB room in Cleveland is a bit of a circus, though. You've got Deshaun Watson, who I don't think starts another game for them. Joe Flacco looks like the presumed starter, but he's over 40 and clearly not the long-term solution. Then you've got Kenny Pickett, a former first-rounder who struggled, and now both Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders added to the mix. As a prospect, I liked Gabriel more than Shedeur. He's more polished in the pocket, has solid scrambling ability, and his accuracy stood out as well. Gabriel holds the record for most passing touchdowns in college football history, and he produced at all three programs he played for. There's definitely a path to playing time in Cleveland depending on how things shake out with Flacco and Pickett. I'd consider him in the late second to early third round of rookie drafts if you're betting on him taking over by mid-season. Next up in my B tier, we have Will Howard out of Ohio State, the reigning national champion, landing with the Steelers in the 7th round. I really thought he would go around the 4th round range, but he slips a lot farther than expected and lands with the Steelers, a team that currently only has Mason Rudolph on the roster at quarterback right now. And I also believe Howard is more talented than Rudolph, so he could get the starting job over him if it's only them two in the QB room. Howard was my QB3 pre-draft because of his great mechanics and his ability to consistently hit intermediate throws. He absolutely balled out in the national championship game, and you can tell his confidence is sky high heading into the league. The only downside here is the potential signing of Aaron Rodgers, who's been heavily linked to the Steelers this offseason. He was even spotted out working with their 3rd round pick, Caleb Johnson. If Rodgers signs, Howard likely sits for a year, but if Rodgers doesn't come back for whatever personal reasons, Howard could have the best shot to start early out of any of these rookie quarterbacks outside of my quarterback one. I believe Howard is pro-ready and he's going to show out in training camp and preseason. If you believe Rodgers won't sign, Howard should be a mid-second round rookie pick in your rookie drafts. Even if Rodgers does sign, Howard could still be the heir apparent by 2026. Starting off my A tier, we've got Tyler Shough out of Louisville, landing with the Saints in the 2nd round. Shough was my QB10 pre-draft due to his extremely low ceiling and serious injury history. We're talking 3 consecutive season-ending injuries in college. Add in the fact that he's already 25 years old, and I thought teams would be hesitant to invest real draft capital in him. That said, the Saints saw something they liked, and with Derek Carr dealing with the shoulder injury that might require surgery, Shough might be the rookie QB most likely to start early in 2025 outside of my QB1. As a passer, I'll give him credit. He's accurate, poised, and makes smart decisions. I just don't think he offers much outside of being a solid spot starter or bridge quarterback. The 2nd round draft capital surprised me, and while I don't see high-end upside, he could prove serviceable right away if thrust into action. I'd consider taking him in the early 2nd round of your rookie drafts if you're in dire need of a QB2, but outside of that, he's more of an avoid for me. Next up in my A tier, we've got Jalen Milroe out of Alabama, landing with the Seahawks in the 3rd round. This is one of my favorite fits for a developmental quarterback in this class. Milroe won't be rushed into action with Drew Lock and Sam Darnold ahead of him on the depth chart, and honestly, that's exactly what he needs. Milroe was one of the most dynamic rushing threats in all of college football last season, with 20 rushing touchdowns last year. The dual threat upside is real, but his passing mechanics and accuracy definitely need work. That's where this situation benefits him the most. He gets time to sit, learn, and polish his game without the pressure to start right away. I expect the Seahawks to build their future around him, and if the arm develops to even an average level, you're looking at a guy with legit QB1 fantasy upside due to his rushing floor alone. In Superflex or 2 QB leagues, I'd take him in the early to mid-second round as a high upside stash with long-term potential. At the top of my A tier, we have Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss, landing with the Giants in the 1st round. I wasn't quite as high on Dart as consensus. I had concerns about his decision-making, pocket awareness, and overall arm talent, but I cannot deny the upside. Some of the throws he made on film were absolutely jaw-dropping, and he showed he has real potential if he can put everything together. I love this landing spot for him. Dart gets to sit a year behind Russell Wilson, a veteran quarterback whose game he shares some similarities with. Add in Brian Daboll, the head coach who helped develop Josh Allen, who was a much rawer prospect at the time than Dart is now, and you have an ideal developmental path. If Dart can refine his processing and pocket presence, he offers true QB1 upside with some sneaky rushing ability on top of it. In Superflex formats, I'd take Dart as early as the 107, and I wouldn't expect him to fall out of the late 1st round in your rookie drafts. Kicking off my S tier, and the only QB in this class to earn that honor, is Cam Ward out of Miami, landing with the Titans as the 1st overall pick. Ward was my clear QB1 pre-draft because of his insane arm angles, ability to make any throw, and elite improvisational skills when a play breaks down. His upside is absolutely massive, which is why I comped him as the best of Mahomes and the worst of Zach Wilson. An incredibly wide range of outcomes, but elite potential if it all clicks. The landing spot with the Titans was expected for months now, and while I love it for Ward's opportunity to start immediately, the situation around him isn't ideal. The Titans aren't a great team yet, but they are trying to build around him, drafting Shamir DK and Elic Eomanor, who was my wide receiver 10, and even signing Restrepo, Ward's college teammate, after the draft. The concern here is a lack of a dominant run game outside of Tony Pollard and a rebuilding offensive line, which could cause some growing pains for Ward in his rookie season. He had a long and productive college career, so I trust him to adapt, but expect some bumps early on. In Superflex formats, you absolutely cannot let Cam Ward fall past the 106. His upside is simply too big to pass up on. And that's going to wrap up my top 10 rookie quarterback rankings. It's shaping up to be a wild year for rookie quarterbacks. Some of these guys are in amazing spots, while others are going to need some time and patience. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more Dynasty and rookie content, and if you want even more real-time discussions, join the Bobby's Big Board Discord. The link is down below in the description. Appreciate you guys for always tuning in, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.
Hey.